Hey guys, just finishing up a few things that I got to tidy up on. How's everybody doing? Let's see who all's here. I see Mrs. is number one. Hey Mrs., love you sweetie. There's Bell Admin. How you doing, brother? Hi Rita H. Chris R., how you doing? Hey Phil. Hey Cordial. Hey Carl H. Bell. Yeah. Roll Tide, Katrina. Hot buns. Alright, let me adjust the camera just a little bit. I'm out here solo today out in the shop, so Roll Tide. So if you guys ask me a question or something that I missed, put it in the chat multiple times. I'm gonna be Mrs. is in the house doing Mrs. stuff, Christmas stuff, and all that kind of business. So I decided I'll just come out here and do this while she's doing that. I'm no help at that anyway. I'd probably be more in the way than anything. So she's getting her little Mrs. time, and I'll get a little captain's time. But I got a project today that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and the chat's not showing up on my monitor for some reason. There we go. Hey Swanjan. And like I said, what I was saying is, if I miss you guys on the chat, my monitor goes away very quickly, so I have to look down at my laptop. So if I miss a question or a comment, or you guys are trying to address me, just put it in multiple times. And like I said, I'm gonna try to watch for Mrs. on hers, because she told me, you know, while she's doing her thing, she'll be kind of giving me the alert that hey, pay attention, somebody's trying to talk to you. But at any rate, it's been a while since we've been out here, and I've built quite a few things since I saw you guys last. And for the last few months, I've been building all my Christmas presents and shipping them out and doing all that kind of business. And so I've been pretty busy out in the shop, and work's been pretty busy too. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking right now. We'll jump right into the project here shortly. But I have some other projects that I've done over the last weeks or months, I guess. Actually, it's probably been, what, 2 or 3 months since I've been out here with you guys. But I do have some stuff I want to talk to you after I work on this plate. And we'll get into that here in a minute. And I'll show you kind of what I've been up to. And I know I mentioned a week or so ago that I crashed the mill machine. I'll show you guys what happened on that, show you some of the parts that broke off of that. And this part shouldn't take very long. We'll knock it out and then have kind of a Q&A section and just visit for a little bit. It's been a while since we've done this, so I'm a little rusty, and it'll take me a little bit to keep up with you guys. But anyway, and Carl, and who? Let me think. Carl and Cece, I know for sure, sent us something for Christmas, and I want to thank you very much for that. That was very nice. And I haven't got any chocolate yet, Carl. I don't know how that's going to work out. Hey, Jimmy. Good to see you, buddy. And I know, Jimmy, the last time I talked to you, you kind of wanted to talk about some things that I do at my regular job. So feel free to ask any questions here after we get this part done. And I'll focus on the monitor and try to answer as many questions as I can. And I know I told you that I would do that, so I want to do that. And it kind of I looked up and I realized it kind of looks like I'm looking up at the ceiling. I'm not giving you guys the duh signal. My monitor's elevated above, so I kind of have to look up to read my chat. And because I wear glasses, I can't see for shit, so I can't see my chat on my iPad. So I have to look up at the screen. But anyway, let's get into it. So I'm going to move the camera down so you can see what I'm working on and quit looking at this ugly mug. So hold on just a second. Okay, so what I have, you guys have all seen me working on the lathe, and on the lathe, we have a 3-jowl chuck, which is this chuck. And you've all seen me operate it. The way it works is I turn one of these lugs and all 3 of the blocks move, all 3 of the chuck jaws move. And that works real good, and it's very accurate, works fine, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. However, let me move this to the side. Sometimes you get into making things that aren't round. Such as this. Yes, I will watch the chuck. I don't want to drop it. So this is just a piece of aluminum out of the bin that I'm going to use later on, hopefully, to show you guys some things that I would use this chuck that I'm about to show you for. I've already pre-drilled a hole in it, just in the essence of saving time. But what this is a 4-jaw chuck, okay? So with a 4-jaw chuck, it allows me to chuck something up square in the chuck, number one, obviously. And it also allows me to dial the part in to where the center may need to be over here. And I can machine this far away. Everything doesn't have to be centered, so I can move this whole workpiece over to put the center here. That's the whole purpose of a 4-jaw chuck in this aspect. And also, when you are working with something that's got to be within a few tenths of a thousandths, it's a lot easier to do that with a 4-jaw chuck because you can dial the chuck jaws in to within a tenth of a thousandth if you need to. I like the chuck. It when I first got it, it was a real piece of shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a good chuck. I shouldn't have said that. But the problem is this came from overseas, and the manufacturers over there don't take the care that we do over here in ensuring cleanliness, and all the parts are deburred and all that. When I first got it, I couldn't even turn. I couldn't take the chuck all the way out. And these chuck jaws are made to take out and flip around for a variety of different sizes. So when I got it, I could only open the jaws about this far and they would bind. Well, come to find out, after I took the entire chuck apart, it was completely full of grinding dust and metal and all kinds of stuff. It was nasty. And you ought to see the towel that I took off. Matter of fact, hang on. So these towels are all just white terry cloths. I set this chuck up on a brand new towel when I started taking it apart to clean it. This is the towel and all the stuff that came out of this chuck. And you can see metal chips and you can see all kinds of dirt and all that. So it wasn't working very well at all. I was very disappointed with that. But once I got it all cleaned up, all the jaws move in and out, no problem. So ultimately I think it's going to work just fine. It's just maybe the cleaning department needs an upgrade. At any rate, here lies the problem with this chuck. 4-jaw chucks generally come as universal. And when I say universal, everybody knows what universal means. That means it doesn't fit anything very well. So what they do, they send you the chuck, but you have to separately purchase, unless it comes in a kit, a base plate, which is what this is. And the way this works, you can see the 4 big bolt holes, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You have 4 bolt holes that you have to machine into this plate. Okay? The way this plate mounts is it goes into the lathe here, and it's got locking pins that lock this into the rotating portion of the lathe. Now, this particular part was a partially machined part when I got it. Okay, I bought it that way intentionally so I could make it fit this. Again, these come universal, meaning they don't fit anything. So, what I had to do, this portion right here is a little bit higher to fit inside the cup of the jaw. And what I need to do is turn this inner diameter. I need to shave some off of this inner diameter, and it's not much. It's just a little bit, so that it fits in the register of the chuck, and that'll help it run center. Okay? The second part I need to do, I'm going to face off this edge here right here so that it runs true in the lathe. That way nothing's wobbling. So once everything is machined, and this blue dye here is just an indicator. It just helps me keep my place as to where I'm working. It's kind of like men shaving. The shaving cream really ain't good for anything. It's just to help us men stay between the lines. So I'll shave that little bit off, make sure it fits in the register, and then we'll take it over to the milling machine, and we're going to drill some holes. We're going to drill 4 holes in here, countersink them, and then bang, that's your mother, you know. So shouldn't be too hard of a project. I've already done some marking on this with the Sharpie just to keep me from drilling the countersink on the wrong side, so that would suck. But here is another base plate that I ordered, and when I got it, it was basically just a piece of cast iron. And I did the machine work on it, drilled the holes and all that, but what I realized was when you put the locking pins in, which is these, okay, the threads are about 3/4 of an inch long. Well, this plate's not 3/4 of an inch long. And what that means is, if I put these studs on, they wouldn't countersink into the plate and they'd be sticking out the other end. So I decided to go ahead and buy a universal machinable plate and kind of start over. So that's how I ended up with this plate. And by the way, this is the 3rd one because the guys I bought this one from sent me the wrong one, so I had to send it back. I was going to do this stream 2 weeks ago, but it took a week to get the part, and it was wrong. Then it took another week to get the right one. And this is the first chance I've had to do a stream. But anyway, I'll get everything set up. I'll move you guys over to the lathe, and we'll get started on this little project. Hey, Bob. I see you sneaking in here. All right, let's see how we're running. It looks to be running true. Once I find the speed I like, I don't like that one shit. We'll try that. Alright, I think the first thing I want to do, I want to face this off and just true it. We'll see what the feeds look like and go from there. see if there's any gap. No, there's no gap at all. So that tells me that it's already running pretty true. I'll just run a cleanup pass on this and do the same on this. And if everything's true, we're ready to go to the mill. So let's see what happens. This might take a minute. Alright, that looks pretty good. You know what? I like that better. We're squared up there. I'm just going to put a small chamfer on this sharp edge right here. Because like Quinn says, that's what separates us from the animals. And it deburrs, you know, you should do that. Alrighty. That's pretty much all of the lathe work we have to do on this thing. I'm going to take it back over the table and get the rest of this chem dye off. we'll jump over to the mill. Hey, Lammy, what's happening? Need some persuasion with my little pecker. And we're off. Some good old-fashioned carbonator cleaner. Alrighty. Okay, so now let's talk about how we're going to get these holes located over in the mill. So what I've done, I have to locate 4 holes. I don't have a rotary table, so I'm having to go old school on this one. But what I've done is I've taken and I've made some alignment pins, okay? So I machined these down. They're just little alignment pins, multi-purpose, got a point to them. They're both the same size, within a thousandth. And I'll slide them down in the mounting holes, like that. And I got 1 or 2 ways I can go about doing this. I can take my calipers and set up and measure tip to tip, which I'll do. Okay, I can do it that way. Another way I can do it, which is the way that I'm going to do it, is I'll measure this side, and it gives me 390 thousandths. So, write that down, 390 thousandths. And now that I know the absolute diameter of this, I can come to the opposite side and measure them both, okay? And that gives me 6 inches and 86 thousandths, or for my UK brother and sister, oh shit, I turned it off. 154.45 millimeters. So, I'll write that down. 6086. Alright, now I'll subtract 390 from that, because that would be half of this one and half of this one. And that would give me 2 inches, 848, I believe. I cannot get my hand working right. 6 inches, 0.086 minus 0.390 equals 5 inches, 696 thousandths. Okay, so that is the distance from here to here accurate. Well, I've got to start in the middle, okay, to find half of that number. So divide that by 2. That equals 2 inches, 848 thousandths from the center hole to here. And that's something you guys are going to get to see me use today. It's a tool I don't believe you've ever seen me use. It's a pretty neat little tool. It's a tool for finding center. And it's a little different than my dial indicator. Carl, you may have seen one of these. You may know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me know if it is, and I'll try to watch for it. So now that I got my dimensions, we're going to go over the milling machine and get started drilling these holes. guys can see that all right. Yeah, you see it pretty good. So what I have here, this is a coaxial dial indicator, and the way it works, I'll go ahead and start setting it up. Get my ichrometer squared away here. Let me get it clamped down and I'll tell you guys how it works. Or I'll show you actually. And I'm using these elevated blocks so I don't drill through my table. I tell you, Jimmy made a comment the other day. A lot of folks don't realize how long it takes to set up a live stream and all that. Well, I'll tell you, brother, do it in a machine shop. There's a whole lot of moving parts, I'm going to tell you. And the reason I'm doing this video is because this is the first backing plate I've ever had to modify. And I looked on YouTube. I couldn't really find any information out there where other people had done it. So I thought, well, I reckon I'll do it myself and video it so that everybody can get a chance to see what we're doing. We'll just lock this down. Alright. Now then, back to this coaxial indicator. I have to move this dial out, okay, where it touches the inside of this. And you're going to see this needle doing all kind of crazy stuff. And what it's doing is it's measuring how off it is. And what I'll do is I'll turn the knobs on the milling machine table and I'll move it in and out, left and right, until the needle quits moving. That's centered. And that gives me the start point to drill my holes. So we'll give that a go. You guys see the dial okay, I guess? I actually should have done it on the other side, but no worries. That's okay. Let me get this needle set up. And I know this is a taper, so I don't want to be on that. I want to be down lower where it's not tapered. We'll lock the spindle. Is that even touching? Yep. There's no way I eyeballed that close. Holy moly. Guys, it's 5 thousandths between each number that you see. 5 thousandths is about half the thickness of your thumbnail. I think that's about right. And I just eyeballed that within 5 thousandths. I guess my ichrometers are still working pretty good. So, we'll put it in low speed. I'm going to turn the machine on and then I'll start moving the dials and we'll dial it into 0. Damn, I can't get over that. All right, guys, can you see that dial? It ain't moving. That's pretty much centered right there. That's dead nuts on. Well, I can't believe I got it that close, just by eyeball. But anyway, now we have a center point. Hey, Carl, did you see that? How often does that happen? But you guys saw it live stream. I got an eyeball micrometer. All right, let's get started drilling. Moment of truth. All right, zero that. I'll bring the table up. Okay. Okay, so we want 2 inches, 848 thousandths. So I'm gonna zero the DRO, and I'll cut this one first. Two 848. Shit, I was afraid of that. This is gonna work, but it's gonna be way close to that edge. I was afraid of that, but I think it'll be okay. Hey, Mark Dennison. We're really just getting started. The great thing about this project is if I do make a mistake in my calculations or whatever, what I can do is just move over. It looks terribly unprofessional, but like I said, you know, if you make a mistake, you gotta do something, right? Oh, here's another attachment that I've built since I've seen you guys last. It's a coolant pump that helps keep drill bits and everything cool. Kind of messy, but it works great. Turn it on. Shit, not that much. I don't want to do it at low speed, that's too fast. First one's always the hardest. Oh shit, you bastard. Alright, we got the DRO set. Now all the rest of the holes should work just fine. And it needs to be fuzzed deeper. Alright. Next hole. Let's stay off. Give me just a second, guys. Oh, this bitch is 5 minutes. All right, back in action. So I'll go back to my 0 mark, which is there. We're going to go straight over to the 2 inches 848. Block the table. You know what, guys? I'm going to have to take this chuck off for a second. Guys, I'll be right back with you. I've got to press this back together. I'll explain it here in a minute. Okay, hopefully that won't happen again. What this is a tapered chuck. And the more you press down, the tighter it's supposed to get. But sometimes they come loose when they get oil or something in there. And this is a brand new chuck, so it gave me a little fit there. But hopefully we got it. We'll continue on, see how it goes. I hope anyway. Oh, you bastard. I just realized what I'm doing. I'm going the wrong way with the damn chuck key and it's twisting it off. Dickhead. That's a little bit too fast for me. Now that I had all the problems with the chuck, I may have to reset my Z axis or axis. Actually, no, it feels pretty good. Okay, it stayed true. Cool. All right, back to center. Okay, that's zeroed out right there. So, do 848. Amazing how that works when you go the right direction. This keyless chuck, I might as well just use my hand. It doesn't seem to be slipping, so I'll just keep going with that. back across here and do the last hole. And then we'll put it together and see how it looks. I don't know for sure exactly what grade of steel this is, but I'm gonna tell you guys, it's pretty damn hard. Now we get to see if I drilled all these holes in the right place. What I'm missing on the chat. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys about that here in a second. We're almost done with this project. I'm gonna do a little deburr on it, and then we'll talk a little bit. So the problem I have is I can't get my deburr tool in here because I don't want to mess up this shoulder. So I'm just going to touch off with it, and I'll sand the little birds off of it. Actually got a pretty healthy bird up there. Alright guys, the moment of truth. Is it gonna fit? Yeah, Phil, you're right. The satisfying clunk when it all comes together. Nothing better, right? What's really going to feel good is if I take it over here to this lathe and it fits. I tell you what, guys, this spring is kicking my ass. Every time I turn around, something else is going wrong. I guess I'm just out of practice. I need to do it more. Well, it rotates, that's good. I know it's a 4-jaw chuck, but I can't help but wonder if it's actually, if it's square or not. So we're going to put a dial indicator on it and see. This is where it may all go to crap right here. I hope not. I can figure out a way to clamp this to it. There we go. Oh yeah. So my goal was to get this sprung out, the overall chuck, within 5 thousandths. I thought that was realistic. I've got it at 2. So, and it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can center everything with the jaws. The actual chuck, it's not that relevant. And if I slot the holes, I could move it around, dial in closer, but there's really no need. Probably should have picked something a little easier to hold on to. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Damn. See, I've got a tight spot on this one too, like I did the other side. There it goes. So you guys can already see how handy a 4-jaw chuck is. You know, I can put a square piece of material in here and easily turn it, drill holes in it, whatever I want to do. So, all right. Alright, so for illustration, you can see that that hole is not in the center. Okay? See how that wobbles? So, not a big deal. So what we do, loosen that side, tighten this side. Okay? Needs to come this way. All right, see how that's starting to center itself? Yeah, that's getting real close. I'm not going to waste time and get it all the way centered, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how I can take an offset hole and I can drill a hole in that or machine a circle on that, whatever I wanted to do. But anyway, that's a 4-jaw chuck mounted. It looks like it's going to work just fine. I've got a project coming up. I'll use it. I may do that live. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to bring you guys back to the table and we'll talk for a little bit before everybody's got to go to bed. I kind of got long-winded on this one with the drill truck giving me shit. But we'll make it through it. Anyway, let me turn this machine off. Alright guys, so we got the backing plate done and it seems to work. Alright, I know I've missed a ton of questions or comments anyway, probably not questions, probably not smart enough to answer them anyway, but I got the chuck on the lathe. It seems to be working good. So Mark, are you off here? We'll see you, buddy. Thanks for coming. So anyway, okay, now that I've caught my breath, I'm going to go over a few things that I've built in the shop. And the first one I'll talk to you about is this one. What this is, it's a tool that I set down on the lathe, and it's used, it sits flush down on the top of the lathe, and when I put a tool in, to make sure my tool is on center, I bring the tool up to the bottom of that. Okay? This is dead nut centered with the center of my 3-jaw chuck. So it's just a quick reference so that I can get my tools on the center. Another little tool I built for actual tool for work is a rotary broach. Carl, you'll probably know what that is if you're still here. But anyway, it makes square holes like that. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, you can see that. Anyway, and what it does, it's a high-speed steel bit, hardened bit, that is machined into this block at a 2-degree angle. And whenever I turn the lathe on with this piece on there, this kind of wobbles around in this hole and it cuts it square. You can see it's a square cut bit. And as the lathe turns, this turns and just kind of eats a hole through the center of it. But I made that for a special project I got going on at work. This strange looking apparatus is actually a tool, okay? It's cut in a T-slot so it'll mount in my cross slide on my lathe. And then it's got a little brass washer that goes in this hole right there. It goes in the T-slot of my lathe, and then I tighten it down. That's actually a tool post for cutting worm gears, okay? Once I get a blank in there, I stick a tap into the chuck and turn it on. And as it turns, it cuts these teeth in this gear. Oh, Lemmy, you got it? Okay, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I've sent out several things out, and the post is screwed up. I don't know who's getting what, when, or whatever. Bob got something today, so be patient, guys. It'll get there when y'all's post office and mine get together. You're going to save it for opening day stream. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. No worries. All right. The next little project I've got coming up, and I'll probably do it live because it's a pretty short project. So what I have is on my die set that I use to cut dies. For the brand that I use, there's 2 different sizes. There's this size here and this size here. And clearly you can see one is larger than the other. Okay. So this little jewel right here is a die holder. And what it does, it's machined out so this die fits inside of it. And it's got a little lock nut right there, a little grub screw. And it's clamped into the drill chuck on the tailstock of the lathe. That way I can just go in and it follows the threads and carries the stock in, and I'm not holding the die wrench and all of that. Well, I've got the piece already cut for this one. I've just got to make it smaller, a smaller hole to fit this size. And then I'll have a full set. I did start cutting my own dovetails. I've got a dovetail cutter and mounted in an R8 tool holder, and it works fantastic. The carbides, I got to go pretty slow when the aluminum wants to wad up on me, but all in all, it works great in steel, and it'll do for aluminum. All right, lastly but not leastly, I'll talk about the milling machine crash. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera to where you guys can see what happened. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I decided to come out here and clean the entire shop up because I knew I was going to have some this live stream, and I'd been doing a lot of work and making gifts, and the shop looked like hell. Well, I cleaned all the tables and everything off, cleaned the mill off, and it's funny, my table was a little bit further over that way to the left. Well, the vise was still on the table. And I had just done a job for a friend of mine. I cut a flywheel out, and I had to use the far edge of the table here. So everything was over that way and way up high, okay? Well, I got to the corner right over there with my air hose blowing all the chips out, and the table was too far for me to get behind the mill machine and clean all this out. So what I did, I just reached over and clicked the automatic feed that way, and I started blowing out the floor. Well, my vise was sitting right here, and the top of my vise was here. And at some point, the vise came over and made contact with the drill chuck and sheared it right off. It knocked my head out of alignment, knocked my vise out of alignment, broke this off. I've got it over there, I'll show you. And it just made a big mess of the mill. So the rest of the weekend was spent trying to get the mill back together. But as you guys saw, I've added a coolant system that I built myself. It works fantastic. It's on a magnetic base, so I can move it around. I can take it over to the lathe, whatever. That's what this switch right here is for. That simply turns it on. And down in the floor, you can see the containment tank right there. It's just a containment tank that holds a little pump that pumps water up to the nozzle. And it works fantastic though. But anyway, those are some of the projects that I've been doing, some of the disasters I've had. I broke the wiring cover on the bandsaw over there. I had it raised up, and when I went to lower it down, it caught the damn doorknob on the door, and it sheared the little plastic cover off, so I got to get a new one of those. So it's been hectic around here for the last little bit. Hey, gal pal. That's our captain. She's pretty face. She is. All right, so this is the remnants of the chuck that was in the milling machine when I had the catastrophe, and this is what's left of the R8 adapter that's pressed in here. It sheared it off right above this, and I put this back in the lathe, the end that was sheared off, and I machined it down to put it in a collet, and I was going to use it as a collet drill, but the problem is it was about 40 thousandths out of round, so it was drilling like that. So this drill chuck's absolute garbage. I don't know what else I can do to salvage it, but I'm going to take a look at it later. All right, Cordial, thanks for coming, buddy. But anyway, that's about it. You guys got anything for me? Let me raise you up so I can see you guys, or you can see me better. I'm glad y'all came by. I'm glad y'all, watched the stream. Tonight was frustrating. It's the first time I've streamed in quite a while, and the drill chuck, that's the first time I've used that drill chuck, and I didn't realize that I was trying to tighten it up to get the bit out, and that's why it was coming undone. Once I figured that out, no more problems. It went no problems. But what do you say, man? It happens. Shit happens. Good. Yeah, that's what I did, Carl. Whenever it came off the second or third time, I decided, you know what, I've got to go in here and press this on. And I just went back there in the press room and pressed it on real good. I think we're good to go. If I have any more problems, I'll just Loctite it on. Hi, Cecilia. It's good to see you, too. Chris R., I guess you're leaving. It's good to see you, buddy. Cecilia, good night. All right, guys, everybody seems to be going to sleep, and I need to get in and do a few things, help Mrs. out. So, I'm glad you guys came along. Phil, good to see you. Glad you enjoyed it. Katrina, Mrs., of course, Chris R., Swanjan, Carl H., thanks for coming, Carl. I hadn't seen you in quite a while. It's good to talk to you, buddy. Loons with Tunes. I think this is this the first time you've been here, Loons with Tunes? I think it is. All right, Margin, good night. Cecilia, good night. Rita H., CPCP, The Lamb. I guess you're playing Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is, when is Christmas? Sunday? That's awesome. All right, Bob, we'll see you this weekend too, bud. Thank you, guys. Must be bored to come out and watch me do all this. I guess it's a little different genre, but I enjoy doing it, and if somebody gets something out of it, I'm glad. And a lot of times some of the other makers and machinists, they'll watch, but they don't say anything. And I've gotten a couple of emails from some guys that have taught me a few things. So we all try to share the love, share the knowledge. But anyway, all right, guys, here's my cue. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. The compressor's on, and I'm gonna call it a night. So, good night, my lovelies. I'll see you on 88 Keys. Merry Christmas.